What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today, I wanted to showcase some CARBINK gameplay in the Open Great League, not because I like this Pokemon, but because honestly, it seems like a pretty good pick right now in the current meta. It's a very bulky Rock and Fairy type Pokemon, having access to a lot of damaging moves here with Rock Throw, Moonblast, as well as the newly buffed Rock Slide. I'm going to pair it up today with one of my favorite picks in this season so far, Shadow Malamar. It's my friend using Psywave Superpower and Foul Play, one of the most flexible Pokemon in the game. Pairs nicely with a Pokemon like Carbink that needs Switch Advantage. You can always force it with Malamar, at least oftentimes. And finally, in the backline, going to have Corviknight, which can take down the Mud Sappers and the Grass types that give Carbink a lot of trouble. This team's a pretty solid option if you want to use Carbink, so let's get into the battles and see what it can do. Alright, let's get into it here. First game of the day, Carbink up against the Shadow Drifblim. One of the first things you're going to learn if you're using a Carbink is that this Pokemon destroys the flying types. In comes an Azumarill, and at this point, while we don't have a hard answer to this Pokemon, I know they're just dancing around, going for some chip and dip damage with our Rock Throw, going for a Rock Slide as well, and then putting them into a range where our own Corviknight could deal with this could be a good play. In comes Corviknight. Our opponent now has a lot of energy, but I know Corviknight does not get two-shot here unless they're running Hydro Pump, I guess, but I would be surprised to see that right now. I'm going to no-shield. Our opponent goes to the Ice Beam, and as you can see, yeah, pretty comfortable survive on two of those moves. Air Cutter will add up slightly over time, as well as our Sand Attack damage, but I know we did decent that Switch Clock, so I always want to have a little bit of energy, just in case they do bring back in that Drifblim. In comes an Air Cutter. Our opponent likely going to no-shield this. Let's see what's going to happen. Air Cutter being thrown, and of course doesn't do too much damage. They swap out to their Shadow Drifblim, but this is where our energy is so vital. We have a payback ready to go, and they probably don't want to shield this, saying at this point they don't have a Carbink in the backline, but also they know that if they no-shield that, they're just going to get one shot, so they end up shielding. In comes my Carbink, and since they're already down to shield, I feel like I can shield the Shadow Ball, go for a farm down here, or I guess they can bait us with an Icy Wind. That is a crazy bait. Honestly, I never would have thought they'd bait us there. I guess that's why they did, right? They got the guaranteed shield on the Icy Wind, and now Rock Throw going to try to get their next shield, or Rock Slide rather. Not quite able drawing to the shield, but we do knock them out, which is even better. But they get a huge farm down here, potentially on the Shadow Kanto Marowak. This is going to be an interesting game, because we are actually just barely able to reach this Moonblast. Carbink being such a trooper here, this move will not do a lot of damage thanks to that debuff, but they actually still end up shielding. I think if they did let that move go, I would get a full Psywave down. If they shield the move up, though, then all I need is to land a charge attack against them with our Malamar. They have so much energy, though, on this Pokemon. Another Bone Club already going to be reached. There is still a bit of HP on that Azumarill as well, so I don't know exactly how we can win this game. I'm going to try to build up as much as I can against this Pokemon. They are one more bubble away from reaching their move, so if I can Psywave this down before they're able to reach an Ice Beam, we should be able to win this game. Down goes the Azum. Marowak here has a bit of energy on it as well, but a superpower just barely going to outpace, knocking out the Ground-type Pokemon. Shadow Malamar closing out this game. Down goes that Marowak. Love to see it. 3-ball flex here to start out day number 1, or game number 1, I guess that is. Let's see what we have in the next game. It's going to be another Flying-type Pokemon. Fearow in the lead, which is, I guess, not quite as good for Carbink because they have Drill Run potentially, but it's still a fantastic matchup. They're so squishy. Rock Slide and Rock Throw both being super effective. I try to catch a Grass Knot here on our Corviknight, but because we give them such a huge energy lead and we don't get that catch properly, that means now they can spam out so many debuffs against us here. Corviknight is going to be in a lot of trouble now. We don't have Iron Head for super effective damage, so our damage output is going to be non-existent. I think if they really want to here, they can flip switch, and I don't love to see that. Payback being thrown right now. This neutral damaging move will be able to do a little bit of damage to them there, but yeah, honestly, with those two debuffs to my attack stat doing way less than I'd like, I go for the Air Cutter as well, trying our best here to boost my attack stat back up. Our opponent lets it go. There's a boost, I guess, but our opponent snipes us down with a Rock Tomb. I might be able to force this in the 2-shield if I really wanted to, but I also know at this point there's likely a Mud Slapper in the backline, and Malamar down shields against a Mud Slapper would not be the best case scenario. I'm going to come back in Carbink. You might be wondering why I do this, saying Grass Knot is super effective here. Well, Malamar, I think, would honestly take just more damage, and I would rather have them throw a Grass Knot that is into us rather than going for a Rock Tomb against our Malamar. And if there is a Mud Slapper in the backline, which we are seeing right now, I can go for a Moonblast, do a crippling amount of damage to them, put them into that Psywave downrange, and then if they come back in with that Fearow that we knew was in this game, thanks to that lead matchup, my Malamar up energy will be able to beat it, and then hopefully also beat that Marowak. Drill Peck does end up drawing our shield. In comes our next foul play, though this move likely either knocking out or drawing the shield from this Fearow. Our opponent will end up going for the shield, and I can outpace him, go for another foul play. And if they want to shield this, they can be my guest. By shielding this move, they leave their Marowak exposed to take a foul play. If they go for the no shield, then I might even just Sidewave and Rock Throw that thing down. So a very tricky spot for our opponent to be in. They opted to shield, so now I'm going to go for that 2-shield Sidewave down against this Fearow. Our opponent will now swap back into that Marowak. But once again, a superpower coming through against a Shadow Kanto Marowak. This is going to knock them out. Malamar is going to be able to sweep this endgame, or why not just come back in our Carbink, Rock Throw down the Fearow. Love to see it. GG once again to our opponent. Next game, Carbink up against an Empoleon in the lead. All right, not quite as favorable here for us. I do have my Corviknight that can swap in. Corviknight's not the most consistent answer to the Empoleons here, but it will be able to potentially even just bait them into staying in for a second. Sand attack damage is super effective against the steel typing. Hydro Cannon comes through, doesn't quite two-shot us, but after the metal sound damage, it would be enough. And I want to guarantee either a shield or a knockout. I go for the payback. Our opponent honestly might be able to survive this if they no shield, but I do get that shield anyway, and if shields go down, potentially I can set up my Malamar for success in the backline. Our opponent's playing this so wisely, they go for the overfarm here, so they're not going to be able to just be energy dry after this, which means I have to shield, I have to force even more energy out of them, and I'm going to double shield my Corviknight. I don't think I can go for another payback, at least if I want to land a charge attack here, I think I can only go for 2 air cutters against them, and they end up saving their Empoleon, actually, which is a heads-up play, but they do it by bringing in, was that a Toedscruel or a Torterra here? I didn't quite see, that's a Toedscruel. We get the attack boost. Honestly, I bet they're going to no-shield this. I should have gone for the payback here. We would have done just a little bit more raw damage, but our opponent going to go for that no-shield as we thought, and now Malamar will come in, farm them down. This game's going to get kind of tricky, though, because that Empoleon is still around at this point. I don't know what's in the backline. I'm hoping that whatever it is, our Carbink at least has some play into him. We've already seen a Mud Sapper as well as a Water and Steel-type Pokemon. Okay, the final Pokemon is going to be something Carbink has play into, but there's a good chance they're just sacrificing their Drifloon completely right now. They might just no-shield this. Foul Play doesn't quite one-shot, but they do get that final Astonish through against us, which puts us deep into the red, which means Carbink and Corviknight are going to try their best to finish off this Empoleon. Foul Play should draw the shield. We have a bit of energy still left over on our Corviknight, just one Sand Attack away from this Air Cutter, and because we land this move, they're going to be in dangerous range of either getting Sand Attack down, or even more embarrassingly, potentially, I could Rock Throw down with our Carbink. I know that Steel type is good against both my Rock and Fairy typing on our Carbink, but the thing is, Carbink is such a bulky Pokemon, it's not doing that much to us here, and while we're also weak to Hydro Cannon, it's not going to one-shot us. We're a Carbink. We can go for the full Rock Throw down here, and Carbink is going to knock out the Empoleon. I absolutely love to see that. That's why Carbink is such an annoying Pokemon right now in the meta. The next game here is a Togekiss in the lead. You can't make these leads up. I've got a lot of good leads so far with this Pokemon, but they end up safe swapping once again the Azumarill, Pokemon I don't have a hard answer for, but we can go for a lot of Rock Throw damage. Our opponent actually throws energy first. That was only 6 bubbles. I know for a fact that's just going to be a play rough. We can no-shield that and swap out here to our Corviknight. So this time, instead of us going for the charge attack, they went for it against our Carbink, but the thing is, even down that HP, that Togekiss doesn't have a lot of play into our Carbink, and we save a lot of energy in the back. Ice Beam going to come through. Ice Beam does almost get a 2-shot here against us after the bubble damage adds up over time, but Air Cutters as well will end up being thrown into this Pokemon. Let's see if they go for a shield. Almost never would you see an Azumarill shield against a Corviknight. I guess we'll see what they want to do, though. Once again, an Air Cutter being thrown could boost my attack stat, could just put them down deep into the red. In comes a boost. I actually love to see that. Ice Beam being thrown against us, and this move won't knock us out, but it will put us pretty low. I think, though, before we get knocked out by Bubbles, if they want to double shield this, I'd actually get 2 more Air Cutters off. We're already at back-to-back Air Cutters right now. Corviknight is such a spammy Pokemon here. Our opponent likely will, I was going to say no shield. No, they end up going for the shield there, which means that they're going to have to double shield if they want to win Switch, which I guess with the Togekiss lead against a Carbink, they probably think they need it. But the other thing is, down shields, Malamar's just going to shred through almost anything that they could possibly have. They're going to go for an Ice Beam here, or a Play Rough rather, to get our shield, but even if this Togekiss comes back in, we've seen in the last couple of videos just what Shadow Malamar can do, up energy and up shields against a Togekiss. We can knock this Pokemon out, we can come out with some energy as well, and we can use that against our final Pokemon. I think we're in a pretty good spot no matter what's going to happen here. Forest here coming through. I'm going to shield this up. I know Malamar could have a lot of play into the final Pokemon. If it's like a Mud Sapper or something that is good into our Carbink, I want to be able to land a superpower into them. In comes our next attack. Foul Play will knock out the Fairy-type Pokemon. There is an Azumarill in the backline that could be used as a catch potentially. Watch out for that. It's a Diggersby in the back. I go for the superpower, no catch. This move is going to end up doing like 60-70% of the HP of this Pokemon. They don't have any shields remaining. We end up landing that move. We have a lot of energy as well on our Carbink. I need to watch for a catch. That is the one way we lose this game. They go for a Scorching Sands. Even a debuff to our attack stat is not going to help them here, because I think with the fast move pressure that we have in the backline, we would still knock them out. We don't get debuffed. We wait for the turn. We see a quick attack come through, so we throw that Moonblast. We knock out that Diggersby, and now Azu, way too low to win this game. We're able to pick up the win. Next game is a Carbink into Corviknight lead. All right, so this matchup you'd have to imagine is good for the Steel type, right? Well, if they're running the same moveset that we are on our own Corviknight, then our Carbink actually just hard walls them, right? We know Carbink is going to be resisting both the Air Cutter and Payback damage. Sand Attack technically super effective, but you can see it wasn't doing that much to us there. They end up saving a ton of energy, swapping out to a Shadow Kanto Marowak, so we probably know they are on that same moveset that we are on. We're going to shield up this Rock Slide, knowing that if we have Switch advantage here this game, we should be in a pretty good spot. Air Cutter coming through to either get a shield or, I mean, honestly, it is a consistent way. Just go straight Air Cutter in this matchup if you want to go for the 2-shield win, and we actually get a shield with an Air Cutter bait. Love to see that. At this point, this matchup is going exactly how I'd want to. I guess I could have got an Air Cutter boost. That would have been even better there. But no matter what, we have so much energy. We're at back-to-back Air Cutters once again, and we're going to throw it right before Bone Club can be thrown. Comes another Air Cutter. Our opponent actually double shields our bait, and now in comes the Corviknight once again. They actually go for the CMP here. Nice combo play by them. This move will knock us out. I don't want to shield, saying our Carbink can come back in and absorb a lot more of the energy. Let's see if they get a boost on their Air Cutter. What are they going to do? Luckily, no Iron Head and Payback moveset, but honestly, if they had Iron Head, they would never have swapped out of that lead matchup. In comes our Rock Slide. This move is not super effective against this. The Steel typing neutralizes that weakness that the Flying typing has to Rock type damage. In comes another move here, but Carbink is so bulky, I don't think it matters whatever they're going to do. I'm just going to go for the full Rock Throw down here, and potentially, if I can, go for a Moonblast against that Marowak if they ever bring it back in. Another attack has been reached by this Corviknight. Is it going to be an Air Cutter? Is it going to be a last-ditch effort of a payback? It actually is a payback, a little bit more energy down the drain, but in comes that Marowak. In comes our Moonblast here. This move should knock him out, and at this point, our Carbink is looking like it's in such a good spot. We have a shield advantage as well for our Malamar. Final Pokemon reveal for our opponent is actually a Shadow Kanto Ninetales. Shadow Alolan Ninetales, that is. This is the Ice-type variant, which means that this move is going to basically one-shot them. I guess either Ninetales would be weak to Rock-type damage, but, we're still in a pretty good spot here. We can bring in our Shadow Malamar, go for a full Sidewave down, and then go for a Charge Attack into that Corviknight when they bring it back in. You have a Superpower ready to go. Corviknight is so low on HP, and this will easily knock them out. Superpower being thrown, down goes the Corviknight. GG to our opponent. Next game, we're going to see Carbink as our lead once again. Okay, well, we don't win this lead. I was thinking maybe another flying type, but I guess we can't win them all here. Shadow Kanto Marowak in the lead, and we're getting a taste of our own medicine. The opposing Carbink gets swapped in. Our Sidewave damage honestly is doing quite a bit, but if I ever go for a superpower, we just give them an easy farm down. If I go for foul plays, they know this isn't going to knock them out, so they always no shield, and it doesn't do that much damage, so I don't know exactly how this is going to play out here, but I'm still going to try to shield, maybe get a shield back from them if we can. I have seen a very common team in this meta. That's like the Marowak lead with the Carbink in the backline and then potentially a Corviknight as the third. And if that is the case, then if I can get a big farm down on my Carbink, if I can get shields down here as well, then maybe my own Corviknight could sweep the endgame here. I guess we'll just have to see at this point. Superpower being thrown now. Does our opponent shield? They do. All right, so we get a shield advantage. We don't quite land that next one, but I think we're honestly kind of fine not landing that because it wouldn't have knocked them out. And this just opens up a bit more farm for my own Carbink. In comes a Moonblast here, does a very, honestly, a pitiful amount of damage into our Carbink here. Two very bulky Pokemon, just throwing rocks at each other now. We get a full farm down before another Rock Slide will be reached, and now we can go for that Moonblast against this Marowak. While this won't one-shot them here, it will put them deep into the yellow, maybe even into Air Cutter range for our own Corviknight. We bring it in, our opponent might have their Corviknight in the backline. If that is the case, potentially we have a little bit of play. I'm going to no-shield this. I think it is going to be a Rock Slide almost certainly, but I don't know what they have in the back for sure. It is going to be that Corviknight, and yeah, Payback is going to do a lot more damage to us than a Rock Slide would have done, so a good thing that we saved this shield. Payback being thrown of our own against them. This move is not quite enough to two-shot them, but it will put them almost at half HP. Sand attack damage does put them into the yellow, and now, since the switch clock has been desynced, I think there is an interesting play I can make where I can bank some energy here on our Corviknight, bring in Carbink, build up even more energy here, and then if they ever end up swapping out into that Marowak, I should be able to either, honestly, they're almost in Rock Slide range at this point, so if they swap into Marowak, just go for a Charge Attack. If they stay in, just go for the Charge Attack. Either way, try to knock out whatever they're going to have here, and once one of their Pokemon goes down, I should just guarantee the win. They didn't swap out, so down goes Corviknight. I still have a Payback on my Corviknight, and we're not in Rock Slide range either. We can go for the move here, just knock them out straight up, and they don't have any way around this. I don't know how we just came back from such a bad team comp disadvantage, but here we are, Corviknight able to close out that game. Next matchup is going to be our Carbink up against a pretty neutral lead scenario here. It's going to be the Alolan Sandslash, and the thing is, this matchup isn't bad for us, but it's also not amazing. The Shadow Claw damage isn't doing too much to us, but they have super effective Drill Run. They can outpace us quite heavily. And Rock Throw as well as Rock Slide, while it does a lot of neutral damage here, it's not super effective because the Steel typing does neutralize that Rock type weakness that Ice has. Rock Slide being thrown here before their next Drill Run. Let's see what they want to do with this. They're going to probably no shield, saying they do survive. Yeah, no shield does come through here. A Blastoise ends up coming in. I don't have a hard counter to a Blastoise, but I do have the ability to go for that chip and dip. Rock Throw plus Rock Slide damage against them. Our opponent going for a no shield, and now Corviknight going to come in to try to drain as much energy as we can. I am a little bit worried at this point. There could be an Azumarill in the backline. If that is the case, our Malamar might not have a lot of play, but I'm just hoping at this point, maybe it's like, I don't know, a Feraligatr or something that maybe Malamar and Carbink have a lot of fast move play into. Hydro Cannon once again gets thrown into us. We do survive that second one though, and now Payback, I think, is enough damage to knock out this Blastoise. In comes our Payback, down goes the Blastoise, and who's going to be brought in? It's actually going to be the Alolan Sandslash. Interestingly enough, at this point, I go for the Air Cutter because if they're not going to throw energy to knock us out, we're going to put them pretty low on HP. Even with this resisted damage, they swap out to their final Pokemon. It's a Jellicent, and our Shadow Malamar loves to see this. It's not an Azumarill. We have super effective damage against them, and we can go for the foul plays. In comes our first move. Our opponent will end up using that first shield of theirs, and since they're going to shield, I think I might as well shield myself. Surf or Shadow Ball would do quite a bit of damage, so I'm going to go and shield something at this point. In comes our next foul play on good timing here. Our Malamar should likely get a shield here from them. If they go for the no shield, we probably just instantly win the game with fast move pressure. So yeah, in comes that shield, and now going to try to reach for yet another foul play. In comes another Surf here. This move is going to draw a shield. We wouldn't get knocked out by it quite yet, but I don't want to play any risks. I go for, actually, they go for the combo play here with this Alolan Sandslash. I think I can farm down, though, at this point. Our opponent, though, hangs on. No, with that 1 HP, which means now all my energy is down the drain. I think we might just lose this game now. I probably should have gone for the catch there or something, or just swapped out. Now this Jellicent knocks us out with a Surf, and they hex down our Corviknight. Oh man, we were so close to winning this one, but our opponent just kind of outplayed us there. I thought I'd get that Psywave down before they got that farm down against us, or that move. Unfortunately, didn't quite work out. Can't reach another move here with our Corviknight. Well played to our opponent. They danced around us quite well that game. Didn't have a great answer to that Blastoise, and Jellicent into the backline, as well as a Alolan Sandslash with that much energy, just absolutely destroying us. Next game, okay, well, speaking of getting destroyed, I guess, sometimes when you lose a game that you could have won, the game punishes you with a really bad matchup, and it looks like this one is not looking great for us right now. We have Corviknight that safe swapped into a Scizor. We are met by a Galarian Corsola. We want to get our Carbink as far away from that Steel-type Pokemon as we can, if possible. We actually get a boost with that first Air Cutter, which is potentially helpful for us here, because by getting that boost, I might threaten shields here with our subsequent Air Cutters. Our opponent here is at a Fly. I don't know if they're at back-to-back just yet. If they are not, then potentially I'm going to be able to go for a shield advantage, and all I really need is a shield advantage to give Malamar some play. But if they end up letting this go, that could be kind of bad for us right now, which is actually exactly what they end up doing. Shadow Scizor does come back in. For some reason, our Sand attacks are actually doing damage. I guess after a single Air Cutter boost, probably doing 3 damage per turn. Love to see that. We get a shield here, and I swap out into our Shadow Malamar. I can't give them any more energy than they already have, but take a look at this. We're using just 1-turn fast moves against the Shadow Scizor. They're already at half HP with a Sand attack and Psywave damage, which means at this point, potentially, they're in Rock Throw down range for our Carbink. They do bring in their final Pokemon here. It's a Galarian Corsola, but I'm totally fine to see this Pokemon. Foul Play is super effective, easily gets a 2-shot against them, and because they're just sacking their Corsola here, I might even get even more Psywave damage against this Scizor when they come back in. In comes that Scizor here. They are so low on HP. I mean, sure, these Bullet Punches are going to rip through my HP, but they need 2 Trailblazers to knock us out. And by the time they get there, I think my Rock Throw damage would just do way too much. They might not even get there. In comes our Rock Throws, down goes Shadow Scizor. I'm not proud of that win, but honestly, in a way, I kind of am. Just fast move beatdown, love to see it. Oh boy, and the next game is a Regidrago in the lead. Doesn't get much better than this. I guess it does. A Gastrodon on the safe swap. Corviknight comes in. I would assume, unless they're running double Mud Slap, that this is one of the best answers they have to our Carbink. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised either with a Steel type in the back, which if that is the case, they did a pretty good job at baiting out my Corviknight here. If it's like a Shadow Scizor or an Empoleon in the backline, that could be a bit tricky if I'm down energy, especially with our Malamar if our Corviknight ends up going down. In comes that payback here. Our opponent at this point is going to likely just no-shield this next Air Cutter as well, especially since they are not on Water Pulse. So that means this Gastrodon is in such a bad matchup. They let that go down. In comes that Regidrago. I am very concerned that maybe they just really disrespect Corviknight. Maybe there is a Steel type in the backline. If that is the case, that means at this point our Malamar is going to have a lot of work to do. I'm going to make a bold read that they're going to instantly swap out into whatever they have in the backline, which is exactly what ends up happening. They bring in a Shadow Scizor here, and I brought in my Malamar, meaning now we have a 1 Psywave head start against this Pokemon. Psywave as well is doing a lot of damage, and we saw in a previous game just how much damage Rock Throws as well can do against this Pokemon. All I need to do here is hope they don't boost, as well as just get them down into a range where potentially I can go for a Rock Throw down, and once shields are down, I can Moonblast that Regidrago, potentially winning us the game. We come with our Carbink here. These Bullet Punches, they're doing insane amounts of damage to us, but I can shield this up. I can go for that full Rock Throw down. Regidrago, while it might have a lot of HP, it's not going to for long. We get that full farm down there. They actually boost our attack stat with that move. That's fine by me. We have this Moonblast still ready to go. I don't think it's going to quite one-shot, but it will put them down deep into the red. Moonblast comes through. Yeah, 1 or 2 Rock Throws is all it's going to take, and Carbink can close out that game. Next game is a Bink up against a Shadow Empoleon in the lead. Much worse lead matchup than we just saw there, but once again, I'm going to safe swap my Corviknight, see what they want to do. Our Sand attack damage, especially into the Shadow Empoleon, is not anywhere near as bad as it would be into that regular one, so our fast move pressure is adding up quite a bit over time, but they go for a pretty nice play here. They chip and dip us with that Hydro Cannon, then they come in with an Altaria, and this is going to be such a tricky matchup to navigate. I go for the Air Cutter fishing for a boost. We don't get it there. I'm going to try to go for another Air Cutter, maybe get a boost on this next one, because if one of the first two Air Cutters are going to boost your attack, then a payback would actually knock him out or threaten a shield. I don't really want to do a lot of damage to them as well, because if I do a lot of damage to this Pokemon, I'll get a lot less energy on our CARBINK. What I'm trying to do here is just set up a CARBINK farm down. They end up going for the Sky Attack, doesn't quite knock us out, but they still Dragon Breath us down before a payback will be reached. But now CARBINK is going to come in. This is one of the best matchups you could possibly see. They go for a Flamethrower against us. Not quite sure why. It doesn't do that much damage. I think the Sky Attack is still always the better play. But in comes their next move here. Sky Attack, once again, likely the play that should be thrown against us. That's what they're going to throw. Yeah, Sky Attack is going to be used here. Either way, it's not going to be that much of a difference against a CARBINK. They do bring back in that Empoleon, but by landing a potential Moonblast here, we might put them into Psywave downrange. Yeah, look at that. Psywave shredding through their HP. In the backline is going to be a Shadow Kingdra, a double dragon lineup, Empoleon double dragon, classic stuff here from our opponent, but I think at this point, they're in such a bad spot against our Malamar. We have the energy lead against them, and even if they have Swift, all it takes is 3 Psywaves to win the 2-shield matchup against them. In comes that Swift here. We have Foul Play once again ready to go. If they end up going for the shield here, my CARBINK just wins the game with Fast Move Pressure. If they no shield, then I guess my Malamar just wins this game with Fast Move Pressure, so either way, not much they could do. Malamar and Corviknight there just kind of setting up a win condition in the backline. Love to see it. Next game is a Piloswine in the lead, a safe swap of a Jellicent, so I'm going to instantly bring in our Malamar here. I know Malamar is not the most consistent answer in the game to a Jellicent, but I also know that it's probably our best matchup on our team. So I'm going to shield up that first move. I knew it probably wouldn't be a Shadow Ball no matter what, but I also know Malamar is a Pokemon that I like. I want to invest in it. I want to keep HP on it if I can. It is our swishiest Pokemon. Foul Play not quite able to knock out there. Honestly, it's kind of sad that it didn't do that much damage to them, but we should still be able to shield this up. I mean, I know I'd survive that Surf, but I like Malamar, okay? I'm going to shield this Pokemon up as many times as I can, get as much damage into them as I possibly can as well, and we actually end up seeing them come in with an Azumarill. So we know they're full team, right? They had that Piloswine in the lead. I guess there comes in that Piloswine. They bank a lot of energy on the Azumarill, but I think they're still in a little bit of an awkward position. Because if they end up shielding here, potentially they can land a lot of moves against that Ozu in the backline. And if they no shield here, then potentially, I don't know, Fast Move Pressure could even start becoming a problem for that Azumarill at some point as well. Comes an Icicle Spear, doesn't quite go for the one-shot against us. We just barely outpace before their next Icicle Spear to this payback. They might try to call an Air Cutter bait, and if they do that, this move will knock them out. They do try to call the move here. Love to see that, and now we can reach an Air Cutter because they get a little bit too greedy and CMP this attack on this Azumarill. In comes the move Air Cutter, going to boost our attack stat. Not that it's going to matter, saying they are going to just knock us out immediately after with an Ice Beam. But Malamar, I think at this point, it's going to be pretty awkward for them to knock out. I can go for the Psywave damage as well as Foul Plays against them. And they have to throw a full-on charge attack to knock us out here. I still have a full HP CARBINK in the backline. They realize how awkward of a position that is. They top left, and we're able to pick up a win in a very interesting game. Yeah, CARBINK, I don't know. I mean, this Pokemon, I don't think it needed a buff, but it got one. And I think Rock-type damage is so good in this meta just in general, as well as just the bulk that this Pokemon has. It gives it a lot of play in neutral matchups. It has a lot of play against all the Flyers, a lot of play against the Ice types, I guess, as well as that you might see. So I think CARBINK, it's pretty good. It's bad against some Mud Sappers, but as long as you protect against those and you can dance around them, as you saw here in today's video, it's not a bad Pokemon. You might want to give it a go if you see people disrespecting Rock-type damage. All right, well, thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.